Bitcoin by the numbers. What numbers? Gematria, the coding of letters, numbers, and words done by the elite, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Jesuits, whatever you want to call them. There's some mystery as to who Satoshi Nakamoto is, the creator of Bitcoin, but they left us clues. And there's a lot of hype surrounding Bitcoin right now regarding an imminent spot Bitcoin ETF. One thing you shouldn't do is listen to influencers saying that Bitcoin is going to go to zero. It has no place in the future. Look, Bitcoin is the original OG of crypto, okay? The done data. Bitcoin ain't going nowhere. Not financial advice. But we all have regrets. I remember I worked at this warehouse back in 2015, and this nerd, man, all he wanted to talk about was Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin. I just didn't listen. I knew the potential was there, but I just didn't think it would happen so fast. But I have no doubt that that nerd is probably a millionaire right now, as passionate as he was about Bitcoin. You know, but hindsight's always 2020. But back to Satoshi Nakamoto. The biggest clue we have about Satoshi is his birthday. April 5th, 1975, okay, is Bitcoin's creator Satoshi Nakamoto's birthday. Well, that was a Saturday. Saturday, April 5th, 1975. It's a very interesting date they chose. Yes, they. Satoshi Nakamoto is not just one man. It equals 213. What's interesting about that is that Bitcoin itself, the word Bitcoin in Jewish gematria is 213. Okay, that's what Gematrix does. It goes off the Jewish gematria as well as some other ciphers, but Bitcoin in Jewish gematria is 213. His birthday equals 213. Now, another clue we have is the Genesis block, the very first block mined. When was the very first block mined? January 3rd, 2009. Well, that was also Saturday, January 3rd. Yeah, it better not equal 213, right? The Genesis block, Saturday, January 3rd, 2009, 213. All right, now we're on to something. So that was the first block mined. In other words, Bitcoin mining, 213. $1 million. Some people say Bitcoin can go to $1 million. 213. Another hot topic right now is crypto regulation. 213. And man, when Bitcoin was first put on the scene, crypto regulation would have been horrendous to think of. Like, they thought Bitcoin was just free, it was freedom, and now look at us begging for crypto regulation. You see how that works? Crypto regulation 213. This is interesting right here. One world currency. Yeah, it equals 213. Keep in mind that Bitcoin is not the phoenix of the Economist magazine. Bitcoin isn't the phoenix. Bitcoin is a store of value, like digital gold. Okay. The one world currency is more of a complicated topic. Another video. Another hot topic right now is tokenized assets. Tokenized assets 213, which is the future. A lot of people are wary of this spot Bitcoin ETF because it can open up the floodgates to market manipulation, which it's already happening. But you know, they think like with BlackRock and other financial institutions, all these heavy hitters, able to buy this spot Bitcoin ETF, that it's going to just make it even more centralized. That you know that your everyday investor, he's going to have to go through these ETFs just to own Bitcoin. He's not going to have his own crypto keys. In fact, these corporations are going to have your crypto keys, not your keys, not your crypto. Okay. But the biggest interesting thing about 213 is that executive order 6102 equals 213. Taylor the Mayor, what's Executive Order 6102? Well, I'm glad you asked. Executive Order 6102 is an executive order signed on April 5th. Wait a minute. I thought Satoshi Nakamoto's birthday was April 5th. Signed on April 5th, 1933 by U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, forbidding the hoarding of gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates within the continental United States. Bingo. So that's interesting. They chose that date as Satoshi Nakamoto's birthday. And keep in mind, he was born in 1975, which is the year that I believe Gerald Ford, repealed the order of 6102, hoarding of gold. So as you can see, this whole 213 has a lot to do with finances. And speaking of finances, another thing that's 213, what's on your money? This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, right? A quote that's literally on your dollar bill. Why does it equal 213, right? There you go. This note is tender for all debts, public and private. 213. The first purchase made, Bitcoin Pizza Day, was made with 10,000 Bitcoin. 213. But the biggest clue that we have is the 213. You might say, okay, what is 213? What's 213? Okay, here we go. Drum roll, please. Knights Templars equals 213. Then you might say, okay, Knights Templars. What? You talking about the Crusades? Well, let's take a look. Who are the Knights Templars? Let's take a look. How the Crusades spawned the world's first financial services company. Oh, I thought they were just... The Knights Templar were not only skilled fighters, but also clever bankers who played a crucial role in the development of Europe's financial systems. The Temple Church of London allowed Christian pilgrims to deposit funds in England and withdraw them in Jerusalem. The organization was run by the Knights Templar, an order of religious knights created to protect the Holy Land from Muslim invaders. The Templars offered their financial services to the general public, meddling in international politics and shaping the future of Europe's economy. Europeans first began making pilgrimages to Jerusalem after the Crusade in 1099, which was fought not only to reclaim the Holy Land from Islamic conquests of the Levant, but also to open up an overland, blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind here, the Roman Catholic Church helped create Islam, okay? Muhammad's first wife, Khadijah, was a Roman Catholic. She was rich. She essentially funded Muhammad. Okay, that's why the imams go and kiss the Pope. The Muslim imams go and kiss the Pope. Essentially, Islam is just Catholicism for Ishmaelites, for Arabs. But that's that's a whole nother story. Let's just stick. Yeah. Robberies were a particular commonplace, and for good reason. Pilgrims had to carry with them enough money to pay for food and shelter on the way. They were generally unarmed and untrained, making them a perfect target in the eye of bandits. Okay, you see where this is going. For most European pilgrims, getting robbed was simply a risk they had to take if they wanted to reach the place where Jesus Christ was believed to have been crucified and resurrected, blah, blah, blah. So what would happen is, okay, the services of the Temple Church, the Knights Templar, made it a lot safer. Now pilgrims did not have to carry as much money with them when they set out on their journey, reducing the odds of attracting robbers. Plus, if they were robbed, they would be able to replenish their finances to their destination. The founders of the Temple Church were none other than the legendary Knights Templar, also known as the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ, the Order of Solomon's Temple, among other names. The Templars were several Christian military orders that sprung up across Europe to ensure safe passage to Jerusalem. But the Knights Templar weren't just excellent fighters, they were also clever financiers. This side of the order is often overlooked today, which is surprising considering the monumental role that the Temple Church played in the evolution of Europe's financial system. So, here's another article I have. Let's take a look at this one. The Knights Templar were warrior monks, a religious order with a theological inspired hierarchy, mission statement, and code of ethics. But how did they get into the banking game? The Templars dedicated themselves to defense of Christian pilgrims to Jerusalem, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they have the robber thing. Fortunately, the Templars had that covered. A pilgrim could leave his cash at Temple Church in London and withdraw it in Jerusalem. Instead of carrying money, he would carry a letter of credit. The Knights Templar were the Western Union of the Crusades. We don't know actually how the Templars made the system work and protected themselves against fraud. Was there secret code? So what would happen is they were the first bankers. They said, we will give you this note, we'll hold your gold, we'll hold your cash, and this note guarantees that you'll get this cash back. And some say, well, what happened to the Knights Templar? Well, on Friday the 13th, 1307, King Philip of France, what happened was King Philip realized he was in so much debt to the Knights Templars. And he was like, I can't pay all this debt back. You see what I'm saying? We're in so much debt today. He was like, we're in so much debt. He was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to torture some Knights Templars, force them to admit that they're into idolatry and all sorts of blasphemous stuff, and then I'm going to have them burned at the stake. So that's why Friday the 13th has this evil connotation, because the Knights Templar were burned at the stake on October 13th, 1307. And so that's what they claim happened to the Knights Templar. But the Knights Templar are very well alive and active today in the financial world, in banking, in London. But for the last 213 for today's video, we're going to look at another interesting date. Wednesday, October 13th, what we just talked about. The Knights Templar being burned on October 13th. Wednesday, October 13th. No, we got to spell this one out. 13th, 2004. 213. What happened on October 13th, 2004? Let's see here. When was the FDA VeriChip approved? On October 13th, the Food and Drug Administration approved the VeriChip, a computer chip implanted to facilitate medical record access. That's what they claim. And you might say, okay, well, why? What does this have to do with an implantable chip? Well, we know everything's going digital. This is what it has to do with. So what all this is leading up to, all this digital money is leading towards this, whether you believe or not. Revelation 13:16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that word mark there is charagma in the Greek, and it means to pierce the skin. Okay, it's not a badge. It's not anything outward. It means to prick the skin. That no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So that's where this is headed. And for you who don't believe in the Bible, I have a question for you. 2,000 years ago, how did some people with just swords and arrows know that there would be a device implanted in you that would make it to where you can't buy or sell without it? I mean, really look into that. Until the next video,